Okay, we'll start off with a brief history of all these events that happened that I didn't really know about that much. The ILWU, the Big Five, took over the bulk of fertile land in the early 1800s in Hawaii, setting up their plantation standard way of life. In 1946, the ILWU took over the mills, Hawaii, and West Coast docks and ended division of the workers. Jack Hall helped organize the 1935 ILWU into a democratic, organized, active political union. There. The Smith Act, or called the Alien Registration Act of 1940, warning anyone who wants to overthrow or destroy the United States government, or who tries to entice others to, whoever creates written material encouraging people to go against the government, they could end up in jail for up to 20 years. The GI Bill, or Servicemen's Readjustment Act of 1944, was benefits by way of the law for servicemen, veterans, returning from World War II. Some examples of the benefits were expenses for college, expenses for living, low mortgage rates, and some unemployment compensation. The Communist Red Scare. This is a fear of the communists around 1940. Accusations spread about people who supposedly were spies for the Soviets or were sympathizers. Another name was McCarthyism. This name comes from Senator Joseph McCarthy, who investigated suspicious Americans believed to favor the Soviets. Democratic Revolution of 1954. The Republican Party dominated the territory of Hawaii. The Democratic Revolution in 1954 was led by strikes from labor workers desiring better pay and benefits. Democrats were voted into the legislature at this time. These events were tied together because they all affected the lives of our characters in the story. These events and people were the reason why there was a major shift in power in the Hawaiian Islands at that time. One main character's life and his family and friends all lived and worked the plantation life. All these events affected them. The way they were treated on the plantations. The ILWU was a start to forcing plantation owners and the Big Five to have better ethics towards labor workers. The workers wanted to have equal pay for all. Japanese, Filipino, Portuguese, English, Hawaiian, they should all get the same amount of pay and not one get more than the other. And they also wanted the same pay that the mainland labor workers were getting. With Jack Hall's help, they did this. While all this was going on, there was the 442 Squadron that was fighting the war. Locals from Hawaii were off fighting and dying in the war. Some made it home and had to adjust back into life. These events, whether for our characters in the story or real-life counterparts, had monumental effects on their lives, these events. There seems to be a lot of fear in the air back then. Yet, for our characters, Steve, and Carol, his wife, as he's now being called, he is having positive changes in his life. Although those he speaks about seem to be having a harder time than him, some of his family and friends. As you said, Missy, this story is based on Muroyama's life, so I don't know where reality begins or ends in this story, actually. Having lived in Hawaii for 40 years, I am drawn into the story as it seems so real, like he's actually telling his life story by detail, but yet there's no way he would remember his actual verbal conversation he had with people. Those conversations he's having to create. But the actual non-fictional story is quite laid out. I feel I am learning about history easier through his words. I can't think of anything we lose. It's very engaging and very real. I'm really enjoying this story and learning a lot about, especially the Hawaiian history. Great story. And